We're getting in behind the door now.
Dessen Grundriss die Form eines griechischen Kreuzes haben soll.
It was going on very. You better all take
Fourth century were always built around the little tomb of Peter. So we can say the other way around, that the reason of this place is a small tomb that is here since the 1st century after Christ. Because Peter was crucified in the Circus of Nero. The Circus of Nero was on that side of the church. It doesn't exist anymore. Immediately after, the body of Peter was buried in the cemetery that was nearby. The cemetery still exists underneath this church. In this church there are 3 levels. The floor on top of which we are walking now is the floor of the last reconstruction of the church that started in the 16th century, and the church was completed 200 years later. The lowest level is the level of Emperor Constantine. That means the 4th century after Christ. And the real low level, the first one, is the level of the Roman cemetery of the 1st century after Christ. So we have 1st century, 4th century, 16th century. The decoration that you see around is mostly Baroque. That means the art of the 17th century. That means 2 names in Rome, Gian Lorenzo Bernini and Francesco Borromini. In St. Peter's Church there are works of art that are famous all over the world. I think that one of the most famous is the Pietà by Michelangelo that we will see in a moment. Pietà is the Italian word for mercy, pity, sorrow.
First get to the top of the right side.
So right hand side of it is where the actual bones are on St. Peter. It's the box.
I don't know what's in the outlook that we bought.
It's good you're hitting. It's around to this side. This way so I can be snap happy.
It's the 10th.
Well done, lady.
You got right. Thanks, ma'am.
You want me to get?
There he is there, he's just coming out.
Come on, come on. I don't even want to know who said that. And temples. The Republican days of Rome are about 5 centuries. They last for 5 centuries before Christ. And the temples that we will see in a moment are of the 2nd century before Christ. And they are extremely well preserved, considering how old they are. We don't even know exactly the name of those temples, but being so many of them on such a relatively small area, that should be a sacred area. So here on the left are the 4 Republican temples. We will see them even better now because we go just round the corner, so we will see them.
This side of the tree, you got it. This side of the tree.
Where do they go around? I've got a fair bit here.
There might be a fence across, but I suppose you can't go there.
Yeah, he probably lives down there. He probably lives down there.
See that old tree. That old
It's a
tree.
bit of a hermit,
The
isn't it?
whiskey rear neck.
The one city built on top of the other.
At the end of the street there is Piazza Venezia, Venice Square. In Piazza Venezia there is the white memorial to King Victor Emmanuel, the first king of Italy, the one who unified the country in 1870. Victor Emmanuel unified the country with the help of men like Cavour, Mazzini, and the very famous general Giuseppe. Is not very old. It's going back to 1911 and is by the architect Sacconi. At the end of the First World War, we put there the body of an unknown soldier. So the name changed in Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We will stop by the monument so you will be able to take a picture, and we will see that on top of the steps there are two soldiers standing. You see the four temples now. Looking now on the left, we have quite a lovely view.
Yeah, McMahon, she's talking.
The steps that you see in front of us now are leading up to the represent Castor and Pollux, and Roman statues that Michelangelo used as a decoration. Now we stop right in front of the monument on the coach, because you see we're not. You can start seeing the statue of King Victor Emmanuel. He's the man on the horse, looking horrified at this terrible traffic. He was not used to that, the poor one. And the two soldiers. Can you see the two soldiers up there? They're guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier. And the white statue with the gold background represents Italy. Ciao, bello. Ciao. Venice Square. While it was the official residence of Mussolini. So Mussolini used to speak from the balcony, followed by the one of Augustus and Nerva. On the right, the forum of Julius Caesar. And the main forum that is just a little farther on the same side. During Roman days, this was only one area. Nowadays, seems divided in sectors, but it was not during Roman days. And this was the area where the Romans met every day.
Where the Romans met to have their. This is where the
Conferences.
Yeah.
That's like you clothes with me. I've got a bulging belly. I've got a finer toilet. Oh, have you? Well, you've probably taped it.
Yes, this is the Splendors of Rome, yes. Can you spot the Colosseum? Yes. Phil? The chariot had four horses and had the name of Guadalupe. And they were racing 7 times.
2,000?
1,000.
Good change, okay.
And the Romans were gambling on that.
1,000.
They were big gamblers. Okay. It's also a map in case you get lost, so you know where to go. Just in case you are in that 10%, you can never be 10% and I normally lose.
Where's it going to?
Only 1,000.
I'll do one book and you're going to Glendale. Glendale book for
After all that, you put it down, it disappeared.
Yes, slicing color, I'm very cheap.
How much?
This is wrong. This is the Vatican, 6-inch apple. It's all set to complete. One.
As you can see, all that blue hoses.
So it's here that Mark Antony had his speech. The outside, the body of Caesar, his foot. And Caesar's body was cremated. You see where there is that white temple, the small one, at the foot of the hill. On the left of that, Caesar's body was cremated. And the small white temple is the temple of Vesta. Now, Vesta was very important for the Romans because she protected the fireplaces, babies, the homes. Her secret, the main task of the Vestal Virgins was to watch that the flame was always burning, always alive. The Vestal Virgins were supposed to be virgins. So when one of the Vestals, Rhea Silva, had to quench Romulus and Remus, small accident. For that she was punished in a terrible way. She was buried alive. Before she died, she was able to put the 2 babies in a basket and she threw the basket in the river. The Tiber is at the end of this area, down that way. The basket flooded the water and so the moment moved to the riverside. The 2 babies were crying. They were hungry, cold. She-Wolf arrived. She gave her meal. But at a certain moment, they started using the Colosseum for gladiator games only. Because when they had to change gladiator games to naval battles and vice versa, the building was closed for long periods.
Come on, now there's a game coming. Did you get it? It's winding out.
In the 18th century, popes and princes stripped the policies.
It's going to, and he had this land, which I was quite interested in. And I wanted to see what we met him at the Mistress Russian. You know, I can't stop. He said, oh, right, it's supposed to be in London, but he's right at the dinner at 7 o'clock. Now that's 4. But anyway, well, I stayed there. Jesus, that's a nice Steve, really tasty, didn't it? You can stay till 20 minutes, as it happened. And anyway, Steve.
Now we'll stay on the motorway. It's not far to the motorway exit. Because the traffic looks pretty bad all the way to Tivoli on the old road, so we'll take the new road. So, traffic being blocked up, well, could be just as bad. So, half a dozen of one, half a dozen of the other. Rogers still intact in the whole of Italy. Villa Adriana, Hadrian's villa, dating from the 2nd century after Christ, and that is just one of the great Roman monuments to be seen in Tivoli, and also the Pope's Tivoli baths. Now you can smell it. There you see Tivoli now on the top of the hill. And just look at all the marble being quarried here. Huge business.
Yeah, it's on both sides.
And just to the left of the modern town is the old town of Tivoli, where we're going. It's a delightful drive up to the town, through the windy road, up alongside the olive groves.
Hey, look, they've cut it out in great slabs. Still cutting it out.
There's about 5 windows, 2 people behind 2 of them.
So we are coming up to the square now, where we are going to leave the coach. The coach has to drive away and park somewhere else, and he'll come back later to the entrance to the gardens. This is the main square of Tivoli, the town of Tivoli.
Would you like to say a few words, madam?
Yeah, don't walk so fast.
You better talk to the tour guide here. Where is he? Up there.
I'm just up here,
there,
up
Where's
in the
Cameron?
clouds.
Two tickets we want if he comes over.
gentlemen, first of all, good afternoon and welcome to your garden. Today we are in a Villa d'Este, so called this place because just 400 years ago, I mean from 1550, 1550, until 1575, 1575, in this big residence, it was in Tivoli City, just like a governor, a cardinal from church, I mean. His name was Ippolito d'Este. That is why from over there we can find Ip means Ippolito, Car because he was cardinal, Fer because he was born in Ferrara, quite near Florence city. In Ferrara from Duke Alfonso I d'Este and Lucretia Borgia. I'll show you these things so you can have an idea, you don't know from what kind of rich family was coming because they have had a lot of banks in Florence, you know. So that is why you can call it from Naples the best architect in Renaissance art. That architect was Pirro Ligorio. Today we are thinking probably Pirro Ligorio was the best hydraulic engineer too in that old age. I'll show you better why we say so in a few minutes. But just because we are in this big central room about his estate apartment, we can see these frescoes. All these frescoes are coming from Caravaggio school. I mean, all these frescoes are coming from Zuccari brothers. They were just two pupils from Caravaggio school, typical Renaissance art too. Why? Because every pillars from these walls, all of them are in twists, like in St. Peter's church. I don't know if you've been in St. Peter's. Yeah. Right. Oh, from this fresco, we can have an idea what kind of big residence it was once in this area. Oh, look, we say once because also this place during this last Second World War was almost bombed. So in case you like numbers, this palace, I mean up here, there were more than 400 rooms. Today there are less than 25 rooms in this palace. The other rooms are closed today because there is some space of busy.
Walk over there. Beautiful, isn't it? Something different everywhere, isn't it? If you drink that water, you become 10 years younger straight away.
He didn't get it straight. Poor foundation.
Actually, if you walk...
Not a yabba. Hopeless he is. I reckon I can just about think as much as him.
No.
I think he's paid for this too.
No, he's not.
Not from me.
Don't così, non date che vieni nell'acqua.
Ladies and gentlemen, in front of us, we can see very well under the Fountain Avenue. This is original too. All these fountains today is original. Also, this fountain today was covered with original mosaics from Della Robbia family too. Anyway, we can see more mosaics in front of the fountains today. Why? Because, like everybody can imagine, all that was destroyed every day, everything. That is why there's so much moist in front over there. Look how much moist. Oh, about this fountain, I must show you better something else. I mean, just first of all, it's less than second, the World War. Turning start, I mean, right down. It was one big mechanism, but from where we can have loud music all over through this part. I mean, everywhere. And then in the same time, every jazz from every fountains, all of them, they can dance. If you prefer, they can go in synchronized with all that loud music. Of course, in a few minutes, I'll show you better why. Of course, we go right there too, but before, let's go to see the largest fountain in England.
He's a fair dinkum, I find it. Fair dinkum. First that I show you this. Yeah. Took the glasses off, put them in the what's name, took them out, put them back on again.
This is a large one in Europe because every jets are working without motors, without pumps. Of course, everywhere the other pump is bigger than this one, but we have motors, you know. This is the large one because every jets are working just by grade. Oh, see now we call this the biggest fountain, Neptune fountain. We say Neptune because in the middle, after that a small cascade front over there. Originally it was one big Neptune statue. Something about the Neptune over there. Oh, the other level. The second floor, that's the level. From Murakami probably there are so many students, there are so many. Anyway, look at what kind of big area. All these, I mean, that area,
Yeah, look to your left. Looks like a board.
What's it look like?
It's standing on the edge of the avenue. Put it closer till you find it.
It's like a pier of the road back there, isn't it?
Yeah, we see the two heads of camels.
Yeah.
Looks like camels anyway.
Oh, listen, then if we move up there, front over there.
Can you say a few words, Riley?
Yes, go on.
Now we call this original down the front of us. Look, this is down up there. It's just in a small dimensions. You prefer immediately, you know. All that, yes, immediately. All temples and churches and all the places like there were once in all the interior rock. That is why look at the top. You can find the one with typical Pantheon. Up there. Look, we can recognize one typical Pantheon.
This is from the other end.
As far as, let's say, the entrance to the grotto, it is a hole, very narrow, measuring 160 by 118. Consequently, from this motorboat we are to transport in a rowboat. When finally you are on board of the rowboat, please sit on the floor, more or less the same I'm doing now, and keep your fingers, your arms, your elbows inside the rowboat. Are we clear? Take care.
You'd like to say a few words, Marlene?
Did you tape that?
So I've got it on tape, yeah. Still taping. What would you like to say?
Well, I know it's going to be hard for you to sit on a floor, Phil.
Would that?
It'd be alright getting there, but I might...
Oh, you must get on.
Oh, too much for me.
No doubt about it, eh? Look at that, eh?
Get up What's on better claim our bag.
Hey, 1,000 units, 1,000 units.
Another hard to little bit, another fast.
Please, I sent them all.
People, 1,000 units.
So would you be so kind to move a little from me this side? They must land.
So kind,
They must
excuse
land.
me, sit down, please.
Are you? There's room for me there? Yeah, be so kind to have
Just a few words about our program here on the Northern Bridge. We're now living in Marina Grande. Marina Grande is the other of the island. Now centuries ago. And when it was built, it was characterized by, we calculated 4,000 steps. So you can imagine. But the Isle of Capri is not of volcanic origin, as the Isle of Ischia. This is the book of the cemetery. And I'm going to show you now the tomb of a Miss Grace Field. Grace inside of the island, you can see this fragment of a column here. It was discovered inside the Blue Grotto 60 years ago, together with two stages of mosaic and the sea. So we think that areas the emperor spent the last 11 years of his life in the Isle of Capri. Let's say huge, this is recognized by 4 units of the Isle of Village, Capri Center, Managati, Gokari, and the Marina Piccola on the other side.
Ah, c'est sur d'autres là-bas.
Tại chị nhà ở với kìa from his work. Where he works. Yeah, I go to study.
That's what they call flashing. Hang on, didn't get, hang on.
There's all the sunbakers down there.
I should take it. Yeah, have a look at that. Good.
Oh, can you be able to touch?
Well, when you are ready.
Yeah, go on, say it. Yeah, go on.
I got you to tell there before, a pair of lovers holding hands on tape. Nah.
Hello.
That was your hotel.
Ma quella sta giornata ci da passare solo per
Lost, was you?
Oh, Porto? Oh, it's not wrong.
Anna Capri.
Watch the bag there, Phil.
Sit and see.
Well, excuse me, when I was leaving Capri Center,
Take the photo, you can sit there.
within a couple of minutes we shall be
Hey,
driving
Phil,
along one
put
of
that
the
bag on the floor.
beautiful
Put that bag on the floor.
here in this country. Can you discover this up here? It is part of the road between Capri and everyone there. I suggest you come over here on the right side and you will enjoy yourself. Here we are.
Did you enjoy that?
No, I didn't.
Hey, that was lovely coming up around there, wasn't it?
I didn't look.
Didn't you? What about you, Mrs. Conway? Did you enjoy that?
That was good exchange rate, actually. 1,500 for US dollar. 1.5. So you're getting one ton and a half
Yeah, but when you change your Australian money for US dollars, you do it there anyway. It's all the same. Whether you have English money, Chinese money, Australian money, or whatever. It's just the exchange rate.
Yeah, I know.
But if you came from America and changed US dollars for here, that's when their dollar's real strong, our dollar's weak.
Well, that's why I changed to American dollars.
Yeah.
I was going to take the photos out of this too. I was going to get the photos out.
Ce ne saranno le birre qua, ce ne sono le birre.
go on in a second. You got it? You found it?
Double. Theta.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, welcome to Naples. We're now starting, let me say, a short city sightseeing. This is the Caracciolo Street. This is the most important Neapolitan thoroughfare. According to historians, this city was founded by Greek navigators between the 6th and the 5th centuries before Christ. It was named in Greek language, naturally, Neapolis Parthenope, meaning in English, new city, Neapolis, consecrated to the cult of mermaid siren Parthenope. Unfortunately, we can't see it Vesuvius. It is almost completely clad with clouds. Anyway, you can see it in the background. Volcano Vesuvius, together with the siren Parthenope, is one of the two symbols of the city of Naples. In fact, the volcano appears in the coat of arms of the city. Well, the volcano reaches the altitude of exactly 3,842 feet above sea level. It is still alive. Last eruption took place in the year 1944. One of the most catastrophic, tragic, and at the same time one of the most famous eruptions that have characterized the life of volcano Vesuvius was by no doubt the one which, according to Pliny the Younger, the historian, took place on the 24th of August of the year 79 after Christ. I'm referring naturally to the eruption that destroyed, very regret to say, the cities of Herculaneum, Pompeii, Stambi, Oplonto, and Taurani, 5 cities of this region of Italy. Herculaneum, maybe you already know, was covered by lava. This lava, after a couple of hours, hardened and assumed the compact aspect of rock, whilst Pompeii, Oplonto, Taurani, and Stambi were covered only by ashes, dusts, and tombstones. Well, here we are. To the left, you can see now Victory Square and the entrance to the Central Park. The statues that embellish the entrance are only copies of the original discovered during the excavations of the baths of Caracalla in Rome and during the excavations of Pompeii and Herculaneum. And then you can see much better to the left, the hill of Vomera, on the very top, the fortress, we call it the Castel Sant'Elmo Castle, and then you can see a white building. It used to be a monastery, a Carthusian, we have to say, and it is now a museum of Neapolitan history. Well, this is the area, we're now entering it, the area we call Santa Lucia. Well, this district of the city of Naples is known all over the world thanks to one of the most famous Neapolitan songs. I'm referring naturally to the song Santa Lucia. The version of the song, the modern version, is due to the poet Giacomo di Giacomo. The original version, unfortunately, is lost. To the right, you can see the hill of Posillipo, a residential area of the city. And now you can see much better the fortress. When it was built, as I told you, the early 12th century, they used a local stone, the so-called the yellow tufa of Naples. And recently, by using the same stones, we still have quarries of this kind of stones in the suburbs of Naples. we have perfectly restored it. And now to the left you can see the Hotel Vesuvia. In this hotel died Enrico Caruso in the year 1921. Then you can, as you can see, the upper section of the volcano is characterized by a peak to the left, and we call it a Mount Somma, and by a cone to the right. The cone to the right is the portion of the mountain we call Cape. Now we are driving along the last stretch of the Caracciolo Street. To the left you can see the monument to Umberto I of the Savoy's house, second king of Italy. He succeeded his father, Victor Emmanuel II of Savoy, the man who united this country between the years 18 and 60 in the early 17th century. During the centuries, the past has been the home of almost all the 64 Spanish viceroys of Naples. Then, with the coming of Charles III of the geographical center of the city of Naples. It is the church of St. Francis of Paola. It was built by will of Ferdinand I of Bourbon in the year 1816. On your left-hand side, almost in the middle of the square, you can see two equestrian stages. The one to the left is Charles III of Bourbon, and the other one is his son, Ferdinand I, the sovereign who had the church of St. Francis built. The building in front is the Governor Palace. In Italy, we do not exactly have a governor, we say the prefetto. I think the right translation in English is governor. Am I right, Governor? More or less. 30. Dedicate to Umberto I of the Savoy House. We have just seen the stage of the sewing along the last stretch of the Caracciolo. I'll kindly look to the left and you can see the inside of them. You can see up there the coat of arms of the Savoy dynasty, the White Cross. And now to the right we have the gardens of the royal palace. And in front of us, but to the right, Louis. As you have seen, almost all the buildings of this area are still in phase of restoration. Unfortunately, they were damaged by the earthquake of the 23rd of November 1918. The scaffoldings here to the right, for example, cover the arch of King Alphonse the Magnanimous, the marble arch of King Alphonse the Magnanimous of Aragona. And now we pass to City Hall Square, Piazza Municipio in English. Municipio is City Hall in English. And right in the middle you can see the monument to Victor Emmanuel II of Savoy, first king of Italy. And in front of us the Maritime Station in the foreground. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is with pleasure that I say thank you very much for your extremely kind attention. I wish you, first of all the best, and I'm sure this is not a farewell. I'm waiting for you. Please come again. See you later.
Not so pleasant areas of the city, but as you noticed in the last few minutes, Naples and its past historically is a very interesting city, and under the reign of the French and then the Spanish, as I mentioned to you this morning, you can see that it was a very wealthy and affluent city. The Kingdom of Naples, as it was known as a kingdom ruled by the kings, which were part of the Spanish royal family, and then it reigned to the Bourbons, who were connected with the French. The Bourbon kings ruled France.
Naples residential area.
I fancy having a Ferrari in Naples. It's been mad. Couldn't leave it unlocked for 5 or locked for 5 minutes.
So yeah, that's it. Right. Give him a pat. Gotta be church.
What's that? What's Japan? Holy Croce cross that makes the Church of the Holy Cross. You know, this is the second biggest here in Florence. I mean, the biggest the cathedral we are going to later on. But, you know, this is supposed to be the biggest Franciscan building in the world. Can you understand? Franciscan, can you? This was built by the monks of the Franciscan order, the followers of Saint Francis of Assisi, 700 years ago. And the style of the church is what we call Gothic.
No, that's right. No, well, they're inside at the moment. I just thought, I thought they've wandered off. That's all. I'm waiting.
You have. You're a good fella. No, they're enjoying.
Okay, good. Okay then. Catch you later.
Okay.
Yes. My writing is famous. Divina
Statues representing art, sculptures.
But you know, Dante, who was from here, or that he raised here, died somewhere else.
We're putting the time on the date.
Well, we're just going to do a little short tour down to the right there, to view the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
I got it.
To give you an example, there's the church, it's how much it rains here. It's 300 steps if you want to go up. We were going to go for a walk, but the queue is too big.
Your words?
Say, arrivederci.
Sono 475.000 lire a risistemarla tutta, non si paga, c'è una fattura, guarda, mostra che guadagna guarda. Se lei mi viene a portare un foglio che guadagna 15.000 lire.
Telling you about 80 kilometres of always leading down towards the port areas on the left. Continual number of big oil tankers. Yeah. But we're going to go into the casino and all around the main part of the Principality tonight, or later on today. Densely populated area in the world. I told you that the Netherlands was the most densely populated country. This is the most densely populated area. That's 8 square miles. Try and sample all the perfumes.
Not much there. Would you like it right up close?
Little old lady with the knife. Here we are in Nice. Just been into the exchange to get some money. Marlene spends it quicker than I can catch it.
les questions seront les miennes. Et tu chercheras ta vie, ta différence. Ce sont toujours les remèdes, pas les remords qui nous rendent.
Get a bit more.
Ce que tu veux devient vrai, si tu avances. Ce sont toujours les désirs, pas les plaisirs qui nous vont. Si tu plonges, si tu plonges, y a des montagnes d'amour qui t'attendent, y a des mains, y a des poings qui t'attendent. Si tu plonges, si tu plonges, concentre-toi, ne pense qu'à ça. Fais le vide en toi, allonge tes bras, avance d'un pas, et plonge, plonge. Y a des montagnes d'amour qui t'attendent, y a des mains, y a des poings qui se tendent. Si tu plonges, comme l'oiseau quand il déploie ses ailes. Si tu plonges, si tu plonges,
J'ai tout mangé le chocolat, j'ai tout fumé les cravats noirs. Et comme t'étais toujours pas là, j'ai tout vidé le rhum coca. J'ai tout démonté tes tableaux, j'ai tout découpé tes rideaux, tout déchiré tes belles photos. Je fais rien que des bêtises quand mes yeux pleurent. Pas les femmes qui t'aiment devant, les beaux pleurs.
Mais absolument, mes chers amis. D'ailleurs, voilà un morceau qui marche bien, et puis un petit moment déjà, ils sont deux, c'est pas du tout leur voyant, c'est le nom d'un peintre d'il y a, je sais pas combien de temps, je dirais peut-être une décolle, zéro. Bien, alors on revient à la pochette, qui marque un tout petit peu de gris dans le coin, et puis vous avez le nom du groupe, et puis le nom du titre, et puis de la chanson, et puis tout ça. C'est bien, hein? Ah oui, 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 oui. Bravo le monsieur qui l'a fait, la pochette. Dernière voix, c'est quand elle est ma voix. Bonjour madame.
You
C'est qu'il a rudement raison, le bougre.
I don't know, I've been in it since the start and I haven't got much.
Oh, I gave up.
You gave up. You've got to fill it there, I've got a little tiny bag so I can't put one in.
Give me a wave.
Goodbye.
Oh, yeah.
They have a contact around.
Pot altre geometria tota la jornada.
Yo. The Cairns Film Festival. 55 Evanrod on about a 12-foot punt. Hanging on the back of $1 million outfit. Short speed boat. Okay. Commentary as well.
Well, that's the radio in the background.
What's that big tree there growing up to the roof?
That's a palm tree.
What do we have here? All the
Well,
colours?
marigolds and lobelias.
What are these called?
Shirley? Hey, Shirley. Oh, she brought it from
Water? Oh yeah, I know. I bought it out the other.
Oh, did you?
No, I bought it when I bought ice cream.
Marlene going through the racks as usual. Last on the bus as usual.
You go around the corner on the other side, cross over it. It's right there. Have ice cream and water. Yeah, that's our.
Il voit le camion de l'autre côté, il fait à côté.
we're just turning up the motorway now, taking the exit Avignon Sud. And as you can see, it's a very rich and fertile countryside around here along the Rhone Valley. Many, many vines, of course, and fruit trees. You may have seen the signs up for the fruit trees, mainly cherries, apples, pears, and peaches all along this valley here. And, Avignon itself, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. It's not one of the most famous towns, perhaps. It doesn't stick out like Paris or Nice. But Avignon is a very, very beautiful city, as you'll see for yourself shortly. The Guelphs, between the supporters of the Holy Roman Empire and the supporters of the Pope and the Church. So, for the safety of the popes and the dating, as I said, from the 14th century. The original walls and a lot of the towers are still in quite good condition. Just under 5 kilometers circling the old town. In a moment we'll join the River Rhone and just park right next to the Pont Benazet, the famous bridge, and then I'll walk you into the town and show you where all the cafes are for a little snack, a little sandwich or something, and a drink.
Yeah, you better demolishing over here.
Right?
I'll say there's a bit of demolishing going on here.
Just arriving at the river now, though. Should be coming up on the left-hand side, and you'll see the Pont Benazet in a moment. 12th century bridge. So, and the rest of it is collapsed. And now we're just going to pass in the middle of the bridge. We'll walk around.
Kevin, can we have a name of this little city again, please?
The name of the city?
This little city. Ray Harris. Bloody, what's my name? Jesus, better fortune.
Put him on video, I'm sorry.
What?
They have
the only carousel in the world upstairs and downstairs.
It says American.
It's made in America, is it?
Well, I don't know. It said American Circus outside. American way in. Nobody's gonna take the
No problem.
Well, must have been some way of getting in that originally.
Oh, with their drawbridges and we went into the church. Went the wrong way, did you?
Never moved the bus to that way.
A bus or whatever, because there's a lot to see around the hotel. But if you want to go to the main square on the other side of the river, transport may take a little while, because if France happens to win, Vienne itself is quite an interesting town, because it dates back to the Roman period, once again, famous for its leather goods and products from the town. And also from the top of the hills on the other side of Vienne, we're only about an hour's drive from here to the mountain areas, the French Alps, which of course boast Europe's highest mountain, Mont Blanc, over 15,500 feet above sea level. But the first beginning of the French Alps from Vienne and Lyon is only an hour's drive. You're in the heart of the French Alps then, and you've got all the very famous French ski resorts surrounding Grenoble, where the Winter Olympics was, and you've got Tignes, the three valleys of Courchevel, Maribel, Val d'Isère, and Avoriaz, Chamonix, all within a fairly short driving distance from here. So on the top of the hill over on the other side of the river, you can see all the main mountain ranges on a clear day, such as this one. From the top on the other side, you'll be able to see them. Although it looks sort of smaller, they're much, much higher, of course, but it's just the distance gives you the idea that they're a lot lower than where you are actually standing on the top of those hills. In a moment you'll see the amphitheatre, the old Roman remains. There you are, you can make it out just underneath the church, where that, just underneath the top church above the other Gothic church, you can see the old Roman theatre. You see it? Just on the right there. Get another view in a moment. The top church on the hill, you just go underneath that and you can see the remains of the theatre, semicircle, quite a large one. To go one floor up on the opposite lifts, and you're on the fourth cap.
That's where you get the most of it, you know.
Yeah, lovely.
Would you like to say a few words, Marlene? Where we are?
What is it, 1,000 feet high?
Yeah.
Took 2 years to build. They weren't very impressed with this building. They wanted to pull it down, didn't they?
How are you, Coast Guard?
Just so we've been here.
Why are you all standing back there?
Say a few words. Walk towards the camera. Would you like to say a few words?
You are. You're saying them all.
I'm taking his car.
England celebrated 1783.
As long as you've got I
thought you meant
Oh, well, when you go there,
inside, and perhaps you see the light is very good, you can see that we have columns and a wall, a glass wall dividing the two churches. Or in this first church, inside of this dome church we have a deep crypt of 6 kilograms of golden leaf to restore it. That's a brilliant facade, this one, very, very simple, you know. In France we don't have this kind of baroque. And we are going to cross one of the nicest bridges in town, so the coat of arms of the Romanov family on the bridge. The lady on the right side represents France during the more important than this. We decided the construction of the bridge that you see on the right side. That bridge was constructed so with the stones coming from La Bastille. And you see also many houseboats. That's a choice. People live there because they like it. Normally they have enough money to have a boat here, sometimes an apartment elsewhere or a house elsewhere. But well, it's in the same collections. We turn right side. We have that palace with the columns. It's l'Assemblée Nationale. It's Napoleon who decided to have those columns because he wanted that building to be more or less the same as the one you have on the left. I think that it's the best idea because you see so many things we can't really do it. So we turn around, but our beloved president, because you see at the very end, you have an Arch of Triumph. You can see it very well. The Louvre, an Arch of Triumph. You have inside of the garden this beautiful, this very famous palace, a small one, that's the Impressionist Museum. Two palaces on the right side, they are from the 18th century, the Madeleine Church. They don't even knew what to do with that building. And even Maxime is here on this street. You see a policeman stopped right in front of Maxime. That, the guillotine to perform that of Louis XVI, so this stone. At the beginning, the equestrian statue of Louis XV was here. It was melted down during the revolution. On the 16th of October 1793, we don't know exactly where. Another famous museum, the small one on the left side, inside of the Madeleine, we saw it there. We saw the facade, but in fact it's nothing more, because we have to see only 52 columns all around. That's the only real famous thing inside, but that's a very elegant church. At the beginning they didn't know what to do about it. They thought about the most important decoration. It is, even now. And Mitterrand, our president, is private hairdresser. So now the problem is how not to receive it. Not because they were cookers or hairdressers, but at least they are on the right side. It was a railway station, it's going to be a museum. The Museum of the Art of 1900. And between this pavilion now on our left side, and this is the Pavillon de Marsan. The first one, the other, Flore et Marsan between, no, first floor let's call it, and the second N, but one H, Henry, through the Ile Saint-Louis, and we are going to stop at Notre Dame. The best thing for us. I'm going to pick up my car this afternoon, and so dome, and this dome is the French Academy, on Pette, the French Institute, with 5 academies. One of those academies, the Académie Française, where the writers prepared the French dictionary. The first part, on the right side, where you see that those people, you have the city island. And the city island, it was the beginning of Paris. Paris was born here on the 52 before Christ. The Templars were burned here during the 14th century. The bridge is the oldest bridge in town. We call it new bridge. And why?